Is now the CEO of Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America and joining us now. Jeremy, appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
I'd like to begin with something Allison brought up just a moment ago, and what we heard really is the top line today coming out of Afghanistan, and that is the Taliban saying if the president moves this deadline, August 31st, and extends it, this will be moving a red line the U.S. must not cross. Your reaction to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we expected that to come. Obviously, the Taliban want us out of the country as quickly as possible, but this really backs up just everything that we've been saying for so long, which is that we have to get our allies out. IAVA and many, many other organizations and individuals have been pushing for months now to begin the rapid evacuation of the thousands of allies that qualified for the special immigrant visa status. We've been pushing for this evacuation to have started weeks, if not months ago. And now that it has been delayed so long and we're in this time crunch now, we really need to make sure we continue to get out as many as possible. Now, the problem is what you were just talking about. The longer we're there, the greater the risk to the current U.S. forces that are there doing such an incredible job. But it doesn't change the fact that we made promises, and by we, I mean everyone from service members, generals, members of Congress, multiple presidents, that if these Afghans worked with the U.S. To defeat the Taliban and other terrorist groups, that we would give them this ticket to the U.S. We didn't put a whole bunch of additional qualifications on there, like we won't get you out until the Taliban start to knock down the gates of Kabul. We told them that if you do what was generally 2 years of service, you will qualify for the special immigrant visa. So we have been backsliding on this promise for years. This isn't something that just began with President Biden. It didn't begin with President Trump. It began a long time ago. And that's why there is such a unified effort and voice amongst the veteran groups that we have to get all of these allies out.
Which begs the question why we weren't more prepared knowing that this deadline was coming.
And that's what's so frustrating, because everything that we're talking about right now, getting these allies out, it had nothing to do with the withdrawal date. This was something that has been promised for years. Many of them qualified years and years ago. And so many of the problems that we're facing right now are because the U.S. didn't act earlier to get them out when they qualified. This is a program, the Special Immigrant Visa Program, was something that was started back in something like 2008, if not even a couple of years before that. So it has been years in the making that we're at this point now. And I think that's one of the more frustrating things that so many of us are dealing with when we hear the president talk about the current situation, as he continues to say, no one expected it. We couldn't have expected the country to fall so quickly, the Taliban takeover to happen so quickly. A lot of that may be true, and even if it's not true, it is beside the point. The point is that we could have got these special immigrant visa applicants out long ago when they qualified for this, and that would have reduced the problem. We still certainly would have had others that were clamoring to get out of the country, but it wouldn't be as bad as it is now.
Jeremy, let's talk about the terrorist threat. We heard just a moment ago Representative Liz Cheney saying it's not just the Taliban that we need to be worried about, also Al-Qaeda and ISIS groups that want to attack the U.S. and now have an entire country to do so. Do you believe that?
I do. I mean, I think it's not a question of if it's the case. I think the question is how much of a threat is it right now and to what extent. We saw just yesterday that there is obviously a real security threat. There was a sniper, I think is how they basically, the Department of Defense has described him. So at the end of the day, there is a serious and sustained threat to U.S. service members that are on the ground carrying out this mission right now. That is sort of the baseline threat. Obviously beyond that, the threat only goes up because it is not difficult for the Taliban, for ISIS-K, for anyone that wants to do harm to U.S. service members to take this opportunity to do so. We're basically encircled right now, which speaks to the need to get as many out as quickly as possible, because this is going to be a difficult mission to wrap up. It's a difficult mission to execute, but to then ultimately withdraw all of our forces, the evacuees and the Americans that want to get out, and to leave all that behind, that's going to be a challenge in and of itself.
And Jeremy, real quick before I let you go, we are approaching the 20-year mark of the September 11th attacks, all of this happening as we inch closer to that horrific day. Are you more concerned as we approach it this year, given what's happening?
I'm not concerned from a security standpoint. I'm concerned more so from maybe, if you will, a strategic standpoint, which is that we have such a short memory in this country. We have a political situation that could not be more divided. And right now there's so much finger pointing as to where the blame lies that I think we're going to miss the big picture of what the last 20 years should have taught us, which is that this mission had issues from the get-go. You can go back easily to 2003, if not from the very beginning of the invasion of Afghanistan in 2001, to find areas that we could have done so much better. There have been so many mistakes made that span beyond political party, that include the military, Congress, the American public, who's basically turned their backs on this mission for years. There's so many issues here, and I fear that as we approach the 20th anniversary, the biggest thing that we need to reflect on is not only all those that we lost, but what we should be learning from the experience of the last 20 years.
And how to avoid not being here 20 years from now. Jeremy Butler, appreciate your insight tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.